In previous lessons, we've taken a look at the use of text editors and integrated development environments for creating our HTML code. But what if you have some ideas or concepts that you'd like to try and you really don't want to get into creating and saving files and having to remember where you put them just to test some concepts or maybe some different styling changes that you want to work with? Well, if you want to, you can visit CodePen.io and create yourself an account. And in CodePen, you have the ability to preview some HTML, CSS, and JavaScript code as you enter it in real time. So on the screen, we have an example of a pen that I have created in CodePen that creates our simple HTML page. We have applied some CSS to it, and then we'll work with the little JavaScript function to show how we can test that within our quick little simple pages. In the upper portion, we have our HTML editor, we have our CSS editor, and we have our JavaScript editor. And then on the lower portion of the page, we have our preview. So if we take a look at our HTML template, we have the HTML head and title tag, we have a body tag, we have one H1 level heading tag, one paragraph tag. Now we've got a couple of attributes listed in our heading tag, and you'll learn about attributes more as you start taking your HTML courses and dealing with the CSS and the JavaScript that you'll learn throughout this curriculum. We'll talk about these in just a moment as to specifically what the intention of these are, just to give you an idea. So the text within our page simply says my first simple HTML page, and we see that down here in the page. And then the paragraph is just simple paragraph text. But you'll notice that it has some different formatting characteristics. This is blue and this is red, and we have different font types. That's applied through the use of our CSS, or our cascading style sheet that we have here. By putting what are known as selectors, so the H1 and the P, these relate to the HTML tags that we have in our document. Anytime the browser encounters an H1 tag, it will look at the CSS file. In this case, because it's a part of the CodePen environment, it knows where it is. Typically, you would include the CSS with your pages, and it would be linked within the HTML. Again, you'll cover more about how to link all of that stuff later on in the courses. So what we've done is, for every H1 level header, we have set the color to blue, and we have set the font size to 48 pixels. That's the reason why my first simple HTML page looks the way it does. Also, for the P tag, any paragraph text, which is essentially what the P tag represents, wherever that is found within the document, a color red will be applied, set to 28 pixel, center aligned within the document, and using the Times New Roman font. So again, the CSS is just applying some simple functionality, or if you rather, some simple styling to our web page. We'll deal with the functionality in JavaScript in a moment. So you can enter your information in here, and you can work with and manipulate the values that you see in your CSS to change the size. So if you wanted to take a look at it, as you can see, it renders everything pretty much in real time. So it gives you the ability to test your concepts and ideas and see what things would look like as you apply these different styles. Finally, before we end this, let's take a look at the JavaScript portion. I have a function over here in the JavaScript editor pane called change color. And all it's simply going to do is set the background color, hence the BG color, of our document, which means the web page itself, to a value of all zeros. Now this is a hexadecimal value which represents red, green, blue, or RGB values. It's going to set the background of this page to black. Now that we see what our function looks like, we need to invoke it within our HTML code. This is where we start focusing on the attributes that are a part of our H1 tag over here. The on mouse over equals is a precursor to actually saying that when we move the mouse over a specific element, and in this case the H1, it generates an event. And the browser is going to take a look at that event, and it sees that we have it attached to the H1 tag. And it's going to look for an action to perform as a result of that. So what we want to perform as a result is to change color. So we simply enter the change color function name with the parentheses here, and then that basically attaches, if you will, that JavaScript function to the on mouse over event for the header 1 tag within our document. So if we want to see how that actually functions, we can move our mouse cursor down here, and we see as a result of this H1 tag taking up the full page, or the full width of the page, as soon as I hovered my mouse over the top of that, we changed the color of the background to black. So we can actually manipulate some of the values in here and see what we might end up with for different colors. So as soon as we've changed that, now our document page is changed back to a white background. Now if I come down, and as soon as my mouse hovers over that, or basically enters, it's almost the same thing but a slightly different function, it goes through the process of changing the background color of that page to what we specified over here in the RGB values for that color. So this is just a very quick demonstration of the CodePen environment that you can find at codepen.io. Again, it's a great way of testing some of your thoughts, ideas, and concepts with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript without having to worry about saving files locally and wondering where you put them and how to work with them later. CodePen does allow you to save these pens, and you can point people to them to show how you've created certain aspects using your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and you can share these with other folks.